Taking the decision of when to get care for yourself or somebody else can be one of the most challenging decisions you can make in your adult life. It's also a decision that we don't often grow up assuming we're going to have to make. So when we get to that point, it actually can be quite challenging to work out, well, when should we be getting care and how, etc., etc. What we're going to briefly talk about today is when getting care is a good idea. There's a couple of key points which you can help use as markers in your own situations. Obvious ones are a reason to get care would be if yourself or a loved one, a neighbour, friend, etc. isn't able to manage daily tasks with relative ease anymore. Another one could be that yourself, a loved one, is increasingly lonely and that's affecting their mental health and the way they conduct themselves day to day. And a really, really important one, which is often completely forgotten about somehow until we're sort of at a point of sort of crisis, is simply maintaining somebody's independence and enabling them to stay in their own home. That is a really, really good reason to get care and a marker of when should we get care, because you want to be able to stay in your own home when you want somebody else to. So let's have a look in a slight more detail at each of those points. So when we're talking about somebody not able to manage daily tasks, I am referring to washing, dressing, preparing meals, healthy meals, balanced regular meals, providing pet care and domestic duties, so simple things like making the bed, making sure the bathroom's hygienic, bringing the milk in, the bins, etc. Now as we age, or if we are experiencing some disability or a health condition, we can often be prevented from doing some of those what normally well people take for granted as a very simple task. If on a daily basis the very simple things can't be achieved by that person themselves, it's a good idea to start getting care. Having support in place before it's actually definitely solidly needed is the best way to do it. When somebody's lonely, again, we can all think of a time where we've been on our own or we've not liked doing something by ourselves, etc., etc. One of the big ones is nutrition and around eating. Lots of people don't actually eat as well when they're on their own. Some people love it. We thrive as individuals and we like to live solo, but lots of people don't. And also people who age and end up living on their own often run a house full of a family. They have cooked for partners, children, neighbours, etc., etc. And then also it comes down to, well, I just need to make tea just for me. I'm not that bothered, actually. So loneliness can have a greater impact on other parts of well-being, not just your nutrition. People stop having a wash. At the same point, I'm not seeing anyone today. It doesn't matter. They don't go to the shops. They don't need in fresh fruit. They don't need biscuits because no one's popping around, etc., etc. But loneliness can really, really, really get us into a spiral of general unhealthiness, unhappiness, and it's a good way to break into that is with a care company, a care agency, a bit of companionship, a few different faces, different stories. It's a cracker way to get care introduced. And the most understated is care in place to promote somebody's independence and to maintain them living at home. That is just one of the best reasons to get care in place, and it links back to the first point briefly. We are ahead of the wave here, so if we get care in place ahead of desperately needing it, it actually can be put in very minimally and supports that person to stay as independent as possible for as long as possible. So a pop-in on a daily basis can give confidence, it can give communication to relatives, other healthcare professionals, it can make sure things are done safely, the house is locked, medication is kept on top of, the dog is walked, etc. So all these things that makes a person happy and well in their own home are maintained and kept on top of really, really subtly, and it prevents any drastic change of sorry, care home, sorry, not able to do this, etc., etc. So when to get care is a really complicated question, which, as I've said, we don't always assume we're ever going to have that as a question to answer, but often we do, especially in our population in the United Kingdom. we're not the best at supporting our own relatives long term. Our culture isn't set up that way, so we need to be thinking about independently how can we get ourselves help or our relative support, and getting care in place is a really, really good way to start.